Good evening, welcome. I'd like to, Pam, would you please note that it is 5:05. We have quorum. And I'd like to jump to item 1.9.1, please, the swearing in of of Ms. Robles and Judge Haggerty. Ms. Robles? Wait, yes, I'm.
Mr. President and trustees, it's a pleasure to be here, and I am honored to have been asked to administer the oath of office to Belén Robles. She is no stranger to our community, having lived a life of service here in the El Paso community, serving in many different capacities. I congratulate her upon her election victory. I think she's an asset to a board that does amazing things in this community, touches so many different lives and so many generations of lives. Education is a critical need, and all of you are responsible for helping to make our access to it so much better, and we thank you for that. And at this time, it's my pleasure, if Ms. Robles is ready to take the oath of office, to go ahead and administer that. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Great. Get closer. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Belén B. Robles,
I, Belén B. Robles,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of
the duties of the office of
Member, El Paso Community College Board of Trustees,
Member, El Paso Board of
Community College
Community College
Board of Trustees, District Number 3
District Number 3
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend.
No.
Preserve, protect,
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and laws
and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Felicidades.
Thank you very much, Judge Martinez. Welcome, Judge Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair Fierro, President Serrata, and members of the Board of Trustees for the Community College. I am Judge Ana Perez, and I have the honor of swearing in for his fourth term, Judge Brian Haggerty. And we call him Judge because he also serves our community as our Justice of the Peace in the Northeast. You know, along the lines of what Judge Martinez said about Mrs. Robles, I guess I have to say something nice about Mr. Haggerty, about Judge Haggerty.
I'll pay you later.
But it certainly is a tremendous contribution that Judge Haggerty has given to the college. Over 4 terms, that translates into 24 years. 24 years at the El Paso Community College, and as the senior member of the board, I'm sure he has seen the college transition into the wonderful institution that it is now, and so it is with a great honor that I will now administer the oath of office to Judge Haggerty. Please raise your right hand. I,
Brian J. Haggerty,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Member, El Paso Community College Board of Trustees,
of Member, El Paso Community College Board of Trustees, District 2
District Number 2 of the State of
of
Texas,
the state of Texas,
and will, at the best of my ability,
and will, at the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ms. Robles. Congratulations, Judge Haggerty. We look forward to your contribution and to the next 6 years. Congratulations. Item 1.1, I call the order. Mr. Dunbar, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
I would be glad. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll just take a few minutes to let the paperwork get signed. What, you did yours fast. Okay. Item 1.4, approval of minutes, April 13th, 2015, April 29th, 2015, and May 18th, 2015.
Move to approve.
Second.
Yeah. Question?
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Uxer.
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye. Item 1.5, Sandra, did anybody sign in? No? Okay. Do we have anybody who was here to speak to, on behalf, or to the board? Okay. Item 1.7,
Item 1.7.1, Dr. William Serrata, College President, will recognize Mr. Stephen J. Woolslager, President, the Woolslager Foundation, for the many student lives touched by the generosity of the Woolslager Foundation.
Pam, item 1.7.1, I'd like to postpone that, please, or just put it towards the end.
Want to go on? Item 1.7.2, Dr. Serrata will recognize individuals who have retired from the college district.
If I can have Margarita Avila join me at the podium. Ms. Avila, is she here? Right, here she comes. Thank you. Ms. Margarita Avila began her employment at El Paso Community College January of 1985 at the Rio Grande campus. She worked in the court reporting program as a part-time employee and eventually became a full-time employee as a lab assistant 3 in 1997. In 2000, the court reporting program was transferred to the Northwest campus where it remains to date. We want to congratulate Ms. Avila and thank her for her 20 years of service to El Paso Community College. Thank you and best wishes in your retirement. Retirements are always obviously bittersweet, in particular this one for me. Mr. Robert Famat, if he can join me, please, at the podium. Thank you, Mr. Famat. Mr. Robert Bob Famat was hired as a full-time faculty member in the kinesiology discipline in 1984 and became discipline coordinator in 1989 until now at the present. Mr. Famat has served as a special assistant to Dean Badillo and Dean Ortega, as a liaison for the Valle Verde Early College High School, as the first athletic director for El Paso Community College, and was instrumental in planning of the baseball park at the Valle Verde campus. As an academic reviewer for 2 textbooks used by the kinesiology discipline and contributor to the development of the test and lab manual for each of the reviewed textbooks. He has served as a presenter at local, regional, state, and national conventions, and as the national chairman for the Facilities Council of the American Alliance for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance. He has been an active member of both Texas Association for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, as well as the American Alliance for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, has served on numerous committees, including the Leadership Academy, has done a tremendous job for the college. He's been married to Mary Helen for 40 years and counting, and has 2 beautiful grandchildren. Mr. Famat, congratulations, and we wish you nothing but the best in your retirement, sir. Sir.
He's not gonna let you play, Art. You're not tall enough.
Congratulations for all your work.
Miss Solis.
I didn't get the memo.
Good luck, my friend.
Thank you.
Item 1.7.3, optional presentations will be made by the presidents of the Classified Staff Association, the Professional Staff Association, the Faculty Association, and the Student Government Association.
I don't see anyone.
Item 1.8, communications, none. Item 1.9, Board of Trustee business. Item 1.9.2, the Board of Trustees will conduct elections for the positions of Chair, Vice Chair, and Secretary of the Board of Trustees and conduct such other business as is necessary to the organization of the Board of Trustees.
The floor is open for nominations for chair.
Chair, I make a motion to nominate you, Art Fierro, as chair.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Selena Solis for chair.
Any other nominations? Pam first, myself.
This is on the motion to nominate Art Fierro as chair. Ms. Robles.
Are we going to take each one separate?
Yes.
Or I guess,
Yeah, or you
Okay.
can-
however you all prefer.
separate is how We usually do it.
Okay, no?
Selena.
Dr. Uxer,
Aye.
Ms. Solis,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla.
What are we voting on?
We're voting on the nomination of Mr. Fierro as chair.
Yes.
Dr. Graham,
No.
Mr. Haggerty,
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Fierro received 5 votes.
It's open for vice chair of the board. I nominate Judge Haggerty. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? The floor is closed.
Mrs. Robles,
Well, I'm going to move the nomination season that he be elected by acclamation.
Second.
You don't have to move.
You do
Thank
have to move. That is, if we want to do it that way.
Okay, then we have the position of Secretary of the Board is now open. I make a motion to have Ms. Selena Solis continue as Secretary of the Board.
Second.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. I make a motion that we accept by acclamation.
Second.
do we need to take all of it?
You need to vote.
Item 1.9.3.
Is that a motion to vote while open? Did we close
Acclamation.
nominations?
Yes, close.
Mrs. Robles?
What are we
They
voting
said
on?
Mr.
It was by
Fierro.
acclamation.
Oh, just done.
Yeah. At 1.9.2. 3.
The road east Lake there from the freeway.
Item 1.9.3, the Board of Trustees will deliberate on granting a 15-foot
Access into the college.
utility easement abutting Old Waco Tanks Road to the city of Socorro, Texas, and to further grant a parcel of land being approximately .027 acres situated in Tract 7, Block 4, Socorro Grant, in the city of Socorro, Texas. The purpose of these conveyances is to assist in the construction of East Lake Boulevard to FM 76, a project which will benefit the college.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Questions? Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Dr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro?
Aye. Mr. Martinez, thank you for being here representing the city of Socorro.
Item 1.10, Board Reports. Item 1.10.1, Treasurer's Report, April 30th, 2015. No action is necessary. Item 1.10.2, President's Report. Item 1.10.2.1, as part of the President's Report, Mr. Barry Bogle, Director, EPCC Law Enforcement Training Academy, will provide a presentation on the resources, programs, and future of the Academy.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening. And I want to thank Dr. Sarata and Mr. Fierro and the board for having me here tonight to talk about the Law Enforcement Academy. I have a PowerPoint presentation for you, but I just want to disclose right now that the PowerPoint doesn't or cannot really show you the pride and the dedication that we have in our program there in our facility with the Law Enforcement Academy. It's any presentation would probably fall short of that. Starting off, a lot of people wonder who we are out there, out at Mission del Paso. And we are the Law Enforcement Academy. We're one of the 3 regional academies in this area, followed by, along with the El Paso Police Department and the Sheriff's Department. We're the only civilian academy out here within this area. We're a regional law enforcement training academy serving all of West Texas and southern New Mexico. We support our local, state, and federal law enforcement, also private security, and civilian firearms training. Our goal is to, Our goal is to support and be a resource for all law enforcement in this region, to partner with law enforcement agencies for improved training opportunities, and to promote training in the safe handling of firearms among our civilian population. And how do we start? Well, Paso Community College has been involved in security, the Academy has been involved in security training since the 1970s. We became a law enforcement training academy in 1990, licensed by the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. We are also licensed as a security officer training academy with the Texas Private Security Bureau. A little history, the academy building located at the Mission El Paso campus was completed in 2000. I can't date the picture, but it has the El Paso Community College Board of Trustee Chair, Dr. Tony Marcus, there, along with our founding director, Mr. Steve Gomez, and one of our past presidents, Mr. Dr. Richard Rhodes. With the academy building came opportunities to provide training and facilitate partnerships with many local, state, and federal agencies. Quite frankly, almost everybody in this region has used our academy at one time or another and to facilitate their training, whether it be pre-service or in-service. And that's just a number of the agencies that are represented. I couldn't fit them all in. Some pictures here just showing the academy facility. When the building was completed in 2000, we had the latest state-of-the-art facility for law enforcement training in this region. And quite frankly, we're still the leader in this. We have the only indoor range set up specifically for law enforcement training. Our training facility includes a 20-point, 25-yard indoor shooting range designed specifically for the needs of law enforcement. The range is all-weather, has low light capability, and is able to handle ammunition up to 50 caliber. The range also has a tactical capability for SWAT and tactical training. There's a few more pictures. This is one of our simulator and our defensive tactics room. Our training facility also includes an advanced integrated system, which is the AIS, which is a shooting simulator designed to assist in training our officers in the use of deadly force in less lethal force situations. We have a law enforcement skills room where we train officers in defensive tactics in less lethal force weapons such as the police baton, OC chemical spray, and also the taser, which you see depicted here. This is part of our entry and foyer. Just go back for a minute. And we're very proud of the facility. You know, this facility is 15 years old, and quite frankly, it really does not show its age. I commend where's Mr. Lobato? I commend everything that he does, and also the conscientiousness of our staff that keeps it in such good shape and looking so well. Our programs, beginning with our Texas Peace Officer program. This is basically our flagship program in which we founded the Law Enforcement Academy. We offer 2 full-time day classes and 1 half-time night class or peace officer class through each fiscal year. Students receive 784 contact hours through 5 phases of training. And just to let you know, for the state certification, the minimum requirement is 643 hours. So we're well beyond the minimum in terms of their training. We've maintained a 100% pass rate for the past 5 years with the state licensing examination. These are some of our classes. And we're proud to say that many of our classes are about, I try to take an estimate, but we're probably running about 70% Hispanic and about 40% female in our classes. We're graduating our 70th and 71st classes this summer. Over 1,300 students have completed our Texas Peace Officer Training Program since we began in 1990. Our graduates are hired in Texas, New Mexico, and other states to include federal law enforcement service. Just a few more academy training pictures to give you an idea of what we do there. We are approved for a VA educational funding. 50 to 75% of our students are now veterans leaving military service. We've seen a sharp rise in military or people leaving the service joining our ranks as cadets. Starting salaries for a peace officer now in Texas can range anywhere from $28,000 to $45,000. That's here locally, and even higher in other areas of Texas. And that's an entry-level salary, which is pretty good. And where do our graduates end up? DPS trooper, El Paso Police Department, TABC, and county law enforcement with the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you.
We have at least 338 graduates that are still in Texas law enforcement. And I just want to qualify this by saying that we can only track those that are actually still peace officers in Texas. Those that have either gone into other states or to federal, we have no idea of how many they are that may have left that system. And also, I just want to add that since we've been in business for 25 years, many of our graduates may have already gone through an entire career and now have retired. Some of our in-service programs. The Texas Peace Officers require a minimum of 40 hours of in-service training every 2-year cycle. Usually that's double or triple for most departments. We offer specific intermediate courses that are required for advanced standing with the commission, and we also provide instructor development courses for law enforcement. Federal programs. We facilitate the training of over 1,250 Customs and Border Protection or CBP officers who train at the Academy each quarter, so that's 4 times a year. Other agencies we help train include Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is ICE, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, and the Federal Reserve Bank Law Enforcement Unit, to name a few. Our Certified Protection Officer program, this is something new that we started a few years ago in conjunction with the Job Corps. But the CPO program is an international security officer certification intended to fill the needs of critical infrastructure in the United States and abroad, which is endorsed by the Department of Homeland Security and agencies such as the Transportation Security Agency, or TSA. We are currently in our 10th class with the El Paso Job Corps, providing specialized training of over 280 contact hours to qualified Job Corps students. And here's some pictures of a couple of the classes. Private security. We are a level 2, 3, and 4 security officer training school. We provide both basic training and biannual recertification to active security officers. And we provide custom training to security agencies with specific training needs, especially if they have federal contracts that they have to meet in terms of their obligations under those contracts. So we do a lot of specialized or customized training. Here's some of our partners in the security industry, to include the Diamond Group, G4S, which also has contracts with the police department, and Allied Barton, which has a lot of the federal contracts dealing with the technology. Public firearms training, which I know has become a big issue lately. But we offer concealed handgun license training and facilitate other qualified CHL instructors at our indoor range. We did this to make sure that they would have a safe place to conduct their classes and to actually do their firearms training. We want to make sure that we are a community partner in that respect. We provide firearms safety classes monthly, and we assist community-based organizations such as the Boy Scouts of America, Police Explorers, 4-H clubs, criminal justice clubs, including our own here at EPCC, and high school criminal justice programs with quality training. This is one of our older shooting competitions we did for the American Society for Industrial Security. Our partnerships. Whether public law enforcement, private security, or community service, we strive to develop close partnerships with our customers. As their training needs change and grow, so does our mission at the Academy to meet those needs. And of course, one of those partnerships includes one of our leadership development academies who took a tour at the Academy and also got to shoot in the range. So you might recognize a few of those people there. Our people. Our faculty and staff makes the difference. On your left is Commander Bobby Flores from the Sheriff's Department, who monitors and coordinates my night program. And on the right is Frank Juarez in the blue shirt. He coordinates my day program. He's there with Chief, I'm drawing a blank here, from Horizon, Chief McConnell, Mike McConnell. Our faculty and staff do make a difference. Our instructors all come from previous law enforcement careers and are willing to pass on their knowledge and vast experience. Our support staff are experienced and understand the demands of intensive training programs such as ours and the quality we strive to achieve every single day. Our future. Well, we've done so much, but we recognize that we can do more. We plan to expand our in-service training to both public law enforcement and also private security. We're currently applying to add a continuing education component with the Private Security Bureau, so we will also be a CE school as well as being a initial training academy school for private security. We're working with our literacy department, Sarah Martinez, to design a prep course so students can better challenge the civil service examinations in the community for police and fire department careers. And we partner with our local agencies to bring down the cost of training, and we want to continue finding new ways to keep our law enforcement officers as prepared and up to date as possible. We feel we owe it to them, and we feel we owe it to our community. And we want to continue to encourage safe firearms training for the entire law-abiding community. We are the Law Enforcement Academy, and we are your academy. And in closing, I want to just mention or highlight a couple of things that talk about student success. Officer Lilani Ramos, out of Class 53, is now with the El Paso Police Department. Within 2 years of her graduation, she and her partner survived a shooting incident with Northeast gang members on a traffic stop. Officer Oliver Wilson, Class 60, is now with the New Mexico Department of Public Safety. He survived a shooting incident during a routine traffic stop within 1 year of his graduation. And Officer Alan Covarrubias, Class 65, now with the Roswell Police Department, has survived 2 shooting incidents, both of which occurred within the first 6 months of going to work. One was a traffic stop, and the other was a family violence call. I feel these are remarkable examples of student success for the Academy. Thank you. Do you all have any questions?
Any questions?
Just one question, sir. Do you have, well, actually 2. Are you
Yes.
doing anything with the cybersecurity?
Not at this time. That's actually a highly technical area, and we're basically basic law enforcement. However, well, many of the agencies we deal with deal in cybersecurity, but we don't have any programs right now for like in-service regarding that. No.
And my other question is, what kind of marketing do you do for the high schools? Because there seems to be a great deal of interest in law enforcement among the high schools.
We do it directly with the instructors that are with the different school districts and actually provide those programs. So their instructors are very familiar with our academy and our programs. and many of them are actually will come to our academy for any kind of qualifications with any either lethal force issues or less lethal force issues. They basically train there as part of their regular curriculum with the high schools. So we welcome them. In fact, we've been doing their competitions. When they go to the state nationals or state or nationals competition, they actually have done their preparatory work there, or their competitions.
Do we have any dual credit courses with you all?
No, we do not.
Dr. Graham, if I might interject, although cybersecurity doesn't fall under Mr. Bogle's area, we do have a cybersecurity program at the college that falls under Dr. Farias, and we do have a robust dual credit offering in criminal justice as well. Those fall under a different administrative area.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much for your
Thank
presentation.
you for having me.
Item 1.10.2.2, Dr. Sarata will update the trustees and audience on recent events at the college.
Chair Farrell, members of the board, Mr. Bogle, thank you for a great presentation. I'd like to begin this evening by introducing Mr. Keith Townsend, who will update the Board of Trustees on the success, the national champion success of the performance study team during the spring semester. Mr. Townsend, please, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Sarata, Board of Trustee members, and the Cabinet. Had another good year this year and very proud of the team. I do have standing to my right my coaching assistant, Joel Anguiano. He actually is a former competitor of our team from about 5 years ago and was a national champion in his own right. I am going to introduce the 2014-2015 national team to you and ask them if they would just come right up here and stand in back of me. Some of these students are not here with us because they're either working or they had other commitments tonight, but I would like to actually recognize Don Valdespino. He is not here. He had another commitment. Charles Collegy, I think he is with us. Would you please come on up? He's part of this year's national team. Natalie Owens is not with us tonight, but she was part of the team. Veronica Romero is not with us. She was part of the team. Javi De La Hoz is with us. Javi, would you please come on up? Holly Gamble, one of our national competitors. Xavier Lonvaline, another one of our national competitors. Jessica Melendez, another one of our national competitors. Angelo Madrigal, one of our national competitors. Joaquin Castaneda, one of our national competitors. And Sean Diaz, another one of our national competitors. These are the national champion students this year from our team. Just some of the highlights of this year's teams include the top community college team at the following tournaments: the University of Central Missouri tournament in Warrensburg, Missouri, the Cal State University Fullerton tournament in Los Angeles, the Palomar Griffin tournaments in San Diego, the New York Off-Broadway Swing tournaments in New York, the Cal State University Long Beach tournaments, and the Cal State University Los Angeles tournaments. They were the top community college team at those tournaments. At a few of those tournaments, they were also the top team even in the university mix, where they put us in with the universities. The team did qualify for all of the national tournaments this year, and EPCC was the only community college in the nation that did attend all 4 of these national tournaments. At the Pi Kappa Delta National Tournament, the team took the individual event sweepstakes and overall team sweepstakes in the Excellence Division. At the American Forensic Association National Individual Event Tournament in Portland, Oregon, they took the 2nd place community college team sweepstakes. At the Phi Rho Pi National Tournament, which is the one community college national tournament, Joaquin Castaneda took the bronze medal in dramatic interpretation. Camila Costa, our team captain, took the gold medal in dramatic interpretation. Camila Costa and Sean Diaz took the gold medal in dramatic duo interpretation. Sean Diaz also took the bronze medal in dramatic interpretation, and Sean Diaz also took the gold medal in prose interpretation. Sean Diaz, as a freshman, won the Brevard Tabor Award, and he was the 5th place overall competitor in the nation this year as a freshman, so we're very, very proud of him. At the National Forensic Association tournament at Ohio University, EPCC's team won a sweepstakes award, and they were the top community college at that national tournament. So we are very, very proud of the efforts and the work that this team did this year. And I do want to definitely give a lot of credit to my coaching assistant, Joel Anguiano. To run a team like this, there is no way one person can actually do it. There's just not enough hours in the day. And even though we start out really early in the morning, sometimes as early as 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and go till after midnight, I still could not do it if I did not have his excellence in this area, which is a real niche area. And he is also somebody who a lot of the community colleges out in California would really like to get their hands on, so we're really hoping we can keep him here. We don't want him going anyplace else. We sort of like to win. The last thing that I would like to do before we leave is I would like to introduce our team for next year. Success just breeds more success. And we have a lot of students that really do want to come here to EPCC to begin their education, to complete their associate's degree, and then to go on to other universities. One of the highlights of our year this year was getting to see some of our ex-students at some of these national tournaments, such as Marilyn Wallace, who is out at San Diego State University, Mary Hetz, who's out at San Diego State University, Jamie Salazar, Gilbert, Bauman Flores, Lexi Martinez, who are at Bowling Green State University, and Sebastian Orozco, who is at Western Kentucky University. Western Kentucky has been the #1 university team the past 3 years, and it was really exciting this year getting to sit right in front of Western Kentucky at the National Forensic Association National Tournament and see Sebastian Orozco, an EPCC graduate, win the national championship in poetry interpretation. So not only are we fielding some really great national champions at our level here, but when they go on and they leave here, not only do they get some real good scholarship opportunities to go to some of the major universities in the United States, but they show that it was not a fluke coming here, that they actually can be national champions at the university level. So that was really something very nice to be able to see that at that final national tournament. We would like to introduce the students who have already signed on and committed to our team and have registered for next year. As I call your name, if you're sitting out here, now some of the students are actually not here. They're actually in Austin right now competing at the University Interscholastic League state tournament. One of those students is actually the Region 1-5A Best Actor, who could have gone to a lot of different universities and chose to come here instead to get his first 2 years. So we're very excited, and he is actually performing probably right about now on the stage up at UT Austin for the state finals at UT Austin. Camila Costa, who is one of our national champions, who is on our team this year and has done very well with us, was also on that state stage a couple of years ago, performing at the state UIL One Act Play Tournament. Camille also will be attending next year Western Kentucky University, the #1 university team in the nation. They can't wait to get our students to come up to them, and so we know we can expect big things out of her. So with that said, let me introduce next year's team so that you can get a look at them, and then you'll see them, of course, next year, a year from now, when hopefully we're going to be as successful as we were this year. Stephanie Avila from Bel Air High School will be working with us in theater and oral interpretation. Lauren Mendoza will be working with us in theater and oral interpretation. She's from Chapin High School. Alec Lemon is a debater. He's coming from Chapin High School to us. Andrea Porras, working with us in theater and oral interpretation from Chapin High School. Jaime Sotelo, theater and oral interpretation from Santa Lazario High School. Luis Valdez, theater and oral interpretation from Hanks High School. Crystal Gomez, theater and oral interpretation from Hanks High School. Andy Munoz, theater and oral interpretation from Hanks High School. David Fuerte, theater and oral interpretation from Del Valle High School. Christina Marcus, who is not with us, she is actually at UIL State performing on their stage. Theater and oral interpretation from Burgess. DJ Ortepeza, he is the Region 15A Best Actor performing at State right now. Theater oral interpretation, who'll be on our team. Diego Martinez, debate and oral interpretation from Coronado High School. Kaylin Brandon, theater and oral interpretation from El Dorado High School. Saul Cervantes, theater and oral interpretation from El Dorado High School. Kristen Yanez, Academic oral interpretation from Irvin High School. Christopher Yanez, oral interpretation from Irvin High School. Ana Miramontes, theater and oral interpretation. She graduated from a high school in Mexico, and she is continuing her education with us here. And Larissa Reyes, theater and oral interpretation, also graduated from a high school in Mexico, and she's continuing her education here at EPCC. These are the competitors that will be on next year's team. Joelle and I have been spending many hours trying to find the best way to get them from point A to point B next year. We're probably going to be doing a lot of bus riding next year, but that's okay. Whatever it takes to best represent the city of El Paso. As we leave, we would like to say, as a team, as a whole, as a coaching staff, really thank El Paso Community College, the community, and the community college. This doesn't happen without the support of administration. I always tell people when they say, hey, we heard something about your team did really, really well. What is that? I'm always sort of amazed because it seems like EPCC is much more well-known outside of El Paso than we are here in El Paso. We tell all of our people when they first come on the team, when we go into that tournament, make sure that you behave appropriately. Good sportsmanship is absolutely number one. I don't care about the trophies, but you will represent your family, your community, and the college at the highest level. And we will be the best liked team in the nation. Everyone will love El Paso Community College. And I'm very, very strict about that. And I tell them also, everyone knows us. And so when we go to California or we'll go to Missouri or New York, they don't believe it until they go to the first tournament, and then we get in the van to go back to the hotel on the first day, and they'll say, you were right, everybody knows who we are. It's like, well, yeah, of course they all know who we are. We're known a lot better outside of El Paso than we are in El Paso. That happens because you all are committed to excellence and what we do. We can't do this without you. So we do thank you, Board of Trustee members. Dr. Serrata, since you've come here, you have been so supportive of our entire program. We really appreciate everything you've done for us. Cabinet members, you guys have done a whole lot for us also because you guys make sure we have the resources to go where we need to go. Claude Mathis, our dean, very supportive. And then two ladies that really helped us a lot. Brenda Wilmarth, who was out of the president's office. She's no longer with us, God rest her soul, but she just bent over backwards to get us the resources we need. And then Irene Sierra, who is Claude's administrative assistant, who will be, I think, next week transferring over to another position with one of the deans over at Mission Del Paso, who for the past 15 years had made sure that we got from point A to point B and got all of our travel stuff. These people actually help us make it happen for El Paso. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I can answer them.
Ms. Robles, did you have?
I am speechless. Believe I don't know what to say, but congratulations. We have such tremendous talent. And for you to work together, develop it, and get this national recognition, I applaud your achievement. And of course, to the young people, we are ever so proud of you.
Thank you.
Mr. Townsend, congratulations, and thank you so much for your passion, your dedication, and your leadership. You do a tremendous job, and I've been out to the Northeast campus on a very rare occasion, Mr. Haggerty. But when I do, you're always there and you're always working hard and very passionate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, students.
Do you have any ideas you can share with us of what we can help happen to get a better marketing of what you do here in the city?
We actually took a step this summer. This summer, I'm actually getting release time to promote the summer repertory and to direct the summer repertory, which brings in a lot of money for scholarships, so we can scholarship most of these students, as well as bringing people from the community into the theater out at Trans Mountain to see what we're actually doing. We bring in some of the best new shows coming out. In fact, this year we have 2 new shows that are coming out. In fact, one of them is actually the Southwest premiere of Bonnie and Clyde, the musical that just closed in New York. We will be producing that show. Many of these students are actually in that production, and we will be opening that up the middle of June. So we've been doing a lot of marketing, getting the name out there. And so that's one of the ways that we're actually doing it. Our marketing team here at EPCC under Joyce Cordell, they have just done an amazing job with us. Whenever I walk in and say, Luis, can you design this for me? He gets right on top of it. He does it. So really, the college is doing quite a bit, and every year it gets better. And I think we see that with the recruiting, where we have students that are, really contacting us and wanting to come here, understanding that not only are they going to get an outstanding education here because our faculty really does care about the students, we want them to do well, but they have an opportunity to go on from here and complete their master's degree. Because what I tell the students all the time is that today the bachelor's degree is just not going to be enough for you. You're going to need to have a master's degree. So by coming here, they can save a lot of money because we are the best deal in education in this entire area. Save your money here. We will work to get you scholarship to finish your bachelor's degree someplace across the nation, and then use your money to get your master's degree, which is what you're going to absolutely have. So that's something that Joelle and I really preach to them. We also really work with the students individually. Joelle works with them on making sure that they're advised properly to get into the right classes so that they can complete, so we can keep them on track. And so all of that gets out by word of mouth and by what we do when we go out and we talk to different groups and we tell them about why El Paso Community College really is the greatest place to start, and it really is. Today, this is where you want to come to start your education, especially in performance studies. Yes?
Yes, so Mr. Townsend, just kudos to you, your team, the current students, the future students. This is an amazing feat, and just thank you. I'm very proud to be part of this community college and the family. I was wondering, has there ever been opportunities to participate or perform, oral interpretation at the high schools, or to get out and kind of expose and promote, the program, but at the high school level?
Yeah, we actually, whenever we're in town on a weekend and there's a tournament that's going on, we do send our students out to help judge at the tournament, help work the tournaments for the different high schools. That's how we actually do a lot of the recruiting, because even Joelle and I will go out, we'll see, the competitors that are out there, and we try to talk to them. There are a lot of coaches out there, both theater directors as well as speech and debate coaches that were my ex-students. So we have that connection. And then we do an oral interpretation showcase in April every year, or May, I think it's May rather, that we actually perform some of our national award-winning events so that students can come out and sort of see what we actually do. And so, yeah, we do an awful lot of outreach to the high schools, and our goal is to, I think we did 26 or 27 high schools this year, actually personally going out and reaching out to them. Our goal is to try to get up to over 30 next year. If time permits, that's
Sure.
the big thing. But we do, anytime that we're in town on a weekend where we're not traveling and there's a tournament going on in town at one of the high schools, we get out to that tournament and we actually help them with judging or whatever we can do to help them out.
The pamphlets that you put out are very, very good. I like that they have the different place and dates. One of the fundraisers you might consider is when we do go to this place, maybe have something for dinner there that we can purchase other than nachos, because a lot of times that's what happens. We'll get out of work and go to the play, but then, by the time we get out of the play, it's too late to go eat dinner. But, if you had something there, then, because you have the area there.
We do, in fact, we just met with Dean Webb and
There you go.
about getting that area actually with a nice counter and sink
Exactly.
area and stuff, so we could actually do some of that out there, because even when we eventually get our theater building someplace and we move out of the Forum Theater, that's still going to be a facility that's going to be used for events. And so having some kind of a concession area would be really, really good for the college. And so that actually was today, we talked about that when we were walking around. We have an event that Dr. Serrata will be giving some invitations out to, which is the opening scholarship gala on the 17th of June. And the invited guests, which I know that you're all on that list, will be coming out and get to see the preview of Bonnie and Clyde before anybody else gets to see it. And there will be a reception with food and everything out there that evening, because we'll be showcasing 3 of the college's top programs: the culinary arts, who will be doing the catering, the theater program, which is what we do, the performance studies, and then, of course, the program that if we didn't have them here, we wouldn't have a theater like we do, which is the Student Technology Services. Our facility at the Forum Theater is totally student-run by STS students. Our students who work in there, who run the lights, run the sound, work the management with me, they are all students here, and they work through STS. So those 3 programs will be showcased on that preview, and we're doing a big scholarship gala that night that we want you to all come out and see.
Well, you all do a very professional job. We enjoy watching it.
Thank you very much. Glad to have you out there.
And congratulations again.
Chair Fierro, I echo all the board's kudos to Mr. Townsend and the students. They do a tremendous job, a true reflection of student engagement, and you see the results of the student success results. I will echo also that at Mr. Townsend's request, and his students will be performing Bonnie and Clyde on Wednesday, June 17th. Invitations will be forthcoming to the Board of Trustees as well as members of the community. With regards to, this is a free performance. Donations are accepted for scholarships. And it will be from 6:30 to 9 on June the 17th at the Trans Mountain Lecture Forum. Last month, I was privileged to attend the Socorro Independent School District Board of Trustees meeting, where El Paso Community College was recognized as an outstanding partner and presented with this certificate that I'll pass to each of the board members. Chair, there you go, if you can pass that way. This was really a recognition of the tremendous partnership that we have with all of our school districts. This is a reflection of the partnership that we have with Dr. Espinosa and his team at Socorro Independent School District. And it was really a reflection of us working collaboratively, planning over about an 18-month period, the opening of our 8th early college high school, which is at Socorro High School, a school within a school model, a true partnership. Very privileged to receive that. Kudos to all of the Socorro team, Dr. Espinosa and his team, as well as our folks that worked diligently on establishing that 8th early college high school. I'd like to, the legislative session is wrapping up rather quickly. And actually, at this point, does not seem that there will be need for a special session. Budget is being worked out, and the speaker, the governor, and the lieutenant governor have come to an agreement on the budget, as well as tax incentives and tax breaks for several folks. Last night at 11:30, Senate Bill 11 passed. Senate Bill 11, Mr. Bogo, is campus carry. You know it well. So I'm sure that we will be using your facilities even more to learn the proper way to have, and the safe way to have concealed weapons. I do want to publicly provide a thank you to Vice Chair Marissa Marquez in the Texas House. Vice Chair Marquez reached out to me yesterday with a request whether the Board of Trustees would like an exemption. As you know, as Senate Bill 11 was working its way through the House, private universities were exempt from having to adhere to Senate Bill 11. As such, legislatures were providing amendments to exempt community colleges or to provide local control. My thanks to Vice Chair Marquez for putting that forward. It did not pass. There are exceptions and there are zones that can be considered gun-free zones. We will work with Vice President Gonzalez and Chief Ramirez and their teams to go through, as well as legal counsel, to go through the legislation to ensure that the Board of Trustees is up to speed and that we move forward as an administration on how to implement the law as it is passed. I do want to thank those of you who were able to attend, many of the board members, if not all of our board members, attending Dr. Roberts' memorial service, which was held on May the 7th at the Administrative Service Center. It was well attended by the college family, several members of the community. I also want to encourage anyone at the college or on the board who have not had an opportunity to contribute to the Dr. Ernst E. Roberts Scholarship Fund to do so at your convenience. A wonderful legacy for a wonderful colleague and contributor to El Paso Community College. We held commencement on Friday, May 15th. We had 2 ceremonies at the Don Haskins Center on the campus of the University of Texas at El Paso, at 2 o'clock for our Associate of Science and Associate of Applied Science, as well, and Certificate of Completion, and then a 6 p.m. ceremony for Associate of Arts degree. Tremendous kudos to all of the staff, in particular led by Vice President Gonzalez and her team, on really putting forth a tremendous commencement ceremony. Our board, thank you all for being there. It is really the epitome of what we work for at the institution, is to see our students be successful and graduate. The 2015 El Paso Community College and Pepsi Bowling Tournament will be held this Friday, May the 29th, at Bowl El Paso, beginning at 11 a.m. and proceeds from the tournament benefit El Paso Community College Student Athletic Scholarship. So we're having a performance for our performance arts team, and we will be having a scholarship fundraiser also for our athletics team. And then finally, the Community College Association of Texas Trustees will be holding its annual summer conference June 5th and 6th in San Antonio. We have been asked, El Paso Community College has been asked to provide a presentation on student success. Mrs. Robles and Ms. Solis will be joining me to present on that topic, and I look forward to serving on that panel discussion with both of our board members in San Antonio. That concludes my report, Chair Fierro.
Thank you, Dr. Strata.
Item 1.11, consent docket. Item 8.1 is included on the docket.
Motion to approve?
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Uxer.
Aye.
Ms. Solis.
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 2.0, administration. Item 2.1.1, the following policy is presented for second reading and/or final approval. 3.01.01, Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972, proposed title, Employment Law Compliance.
Need a motion?
Second?
Make a motion before you can second it.
There was no motions, Chair.
I'll move to approve.
Okay.
Any
He said,
questions?
Do you need a motion?
Are there any questions? Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Uxer.
Aye.
Ms. Solis.
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 2.1.2, the following policy is presented for second reading and/or final approval. 3.01.02, the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and Americans with Disability Act. Proposed title, Equal Employment and Equal Educational Opportunity Compliance.
Move to approve 2.1.2, 2.1.3, and 2.1.4.
Second?
I have a question, Chair.
Let Pam read it first, please.
Item 2.1.3, following policies presented for second reading and/or final approval. 3.01.03, Public Health Service Act, proposed title, Equal Employment Opportunity and Equal Educational Opportunity. And 2.1.4, The following policies are presented for second reading and consideration for consolidation and/or final approval. 3.104, Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, 3.01.05, Title VII and H and Discrimination Act of 1975, 3.01.06, Executive Order 11246, 3.01.07, Vietnam Era Veterans Readjustment Act of 1974, 3.01.08, Equal Pay Act of 1963, 3.01.11, Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986.
Ms. Solis, you had a question?
Yes, I'm just curious, so the policies that have been revised and recommended for approval, the ones that have at the very end, the last paragraph that talks about the president of the college will develop and implement a formal compliance process, that's at 3.01.02, and then, and others, basically, I just, procedurally, how will that be referenced or amended? Will the policy then be amended to say, see this particular document, or just, I'm just curious?
No, sure. Yes, Ms. Solis. So the language is with regards to procedure. So the board approves policy and then directs the administration to then develop the appropriate procedures to implement the policy as such. That statement is really covering the implementation of such policy. So we won't come back and say, we've now done this and revise it. It'll just simply state that is the direction of the board to the administration through the president to move forward with our staff to implement appropriate procedure to ensure that policy is adhered to. And I defer to legal counsel if he has anything to add, or Ms. Nelson as well.
Well, let me just add that these are the, I guess, the framework for civil rights and especially in the employment area that this addresses. So these acts, you're duty bound to obey them anyway. I mean, so this puts us, I think it's good to recite what they are, and then it's again the difference between a policy and a procedure. The general policy is you're going to obey these various federal acts. The procedure will be more detailed and will deal with implementation. Although, let me hasten to add, you've got to obey these directives anyway.
Right,
So-
and the general policy is that the board allows and trusts the president and the cabinet, the people that do this daily, to come up with the procedure and process.
That is
right?
generally the case in virtually all the policies. The policies, as SACS would have it and other agencies would have it, speak broadly to what the board wishes, or in this case is required to do, and then it's up to the administration to implement those through a procedure. And usually the procedure is more complicated and is more detailed than the
Policy.
general policy.
Okay,
So,
thanks.
I have some questions, Chair. On where do we get the language for these policies? Do we get it directly from the legal write-ups or the TASB, or where does it come?
no, the policy would be largely an echo of what the federal act says you must do. So there's not much room for creativity when you're duty-bound to follow in this case, federal acts, or in
So you take the language directly from the law?
It should be, yes.
Okay. And on, for example, on the 30101, the president will develop procedures to implement the provisions of these laws as appropriate. When will that happen?
I would
Like
defer
within
to,
the next 30 days, 30 years, or when? Because
it
that
probably-
leaves it to me too vague.
I would defer to the president on and this has been raised, as you will recall, Doctor, dealing with grievances, that the detail is, well, the devil's in the details, and that's what must be done. But it takes, there is not a totally involved procedure, but a time-consuming procedure for the adoption of procedures. which are sent to cabinet and various affected parties. And that's about the sum and substance of what I know about that, but I'm sure Dr. Serrata could add something.
I'm
It's,
just concerned because, since I got on the board 100 years ago, we haven't been able to get the grievance policy in place. So there should be some specificity as to when this will happen. The next one, 30102, for example, develop and implement a formal compliance process. What does that mean? Compliance process.
Well, you are required to, as I said, follow these statutes. The specificity on how that is done and any sort of, framework to implement that is what that would address. And again, I'd ask Dr. Serrata if he could remind us all as to what that process is that goes through the people that are seating or adjacent to me, as well as those in the audience that are the administrators that deal with this. So
I will begin. Thank you, Mr. Dunbar. And Dr. Graham, they're really valid questions. I will begin with regards to the process of shared governance at the institution with regards to policy and procedure and the systematic approach that we take as an institution to ensure that that shared governance is there, from the review of cabinet to the constituency group leadership. The full faculty and staff have an opportunity to comment through their respective groups. There is a set limit on timelines. I share your sense of urgency, in particular on some of these items, and I know Ms. Nelson is waiting to weigh in as well. Title IX in particular has become a very sense of urgency across institutions. You're very familiar with it as well. And so this is a compliance piece that has to be in place that we're all working with diligently to ensure that we adhere to the letter of the law with regards to Title IX. Go ahead, Ms. Nelson.
Thank you, Dr. Serrata. Many of these policies have accompanying procedures that have been in place for years. And so it's not a matter of developing a policy, but in some cases it's a matter of updating both the policy, which does go to the board, and procedures that are reviewed through a formal process, as Dr. Serrata was mentioning, through our governance system, through district-wide review and those kinds of things. For the most part, these procedures are in place now, though they may be going through some revision, which is part of this process in updating and providing new wording, updated wording for the policies themselves. But the procedures are, for the most part, already there.
Yeah, and if the procedures are in place, they're not working, because we often hear people, at least I do, that, are raising allegation of sexual harassment or allegation of discrimination or due to age or whatever. We had a case, about 3 years ago, that he kept going around and around and around because he didn't know who was going to hear his allegation or his complaint. So my thinking is that each of these should have a person that, everybody knows that that's the person that's going to respond if it's, say, for example, a discrimination complaint, or that we streamline it so that employees know where and who to turn to.
Those procedures are in place. We also have training. All of our employees, full-time and part-time, take mandatory training on equal employment opportunity, to include sexual harassment, at least every 2 years. So there is a large number of activities to include policies, procedures, as well as training opportunities that are in-person training as well as online training. So there are many different things.
Does the training identify the person that they need to go to if they have an allegation or a claim?
Yes, ma'am.
It does?
Yes, it does.
So if I go online, I can find that. If I have a discrimination complaint, this is where I go, who the person that
That's
I go
correct.
to another? Okay.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
I guess for me, Ms. Nelson, I mean, let's just take the sexual harassment policy. And that's just an example. But if I wanted to know if the president and the cabinet and it was going to, the procedure of how to complain or file a grievance or whatever under the sexual harassment policy, how would I know that, one, it's being modified, and two, when it's been done? And that it's been vetted and gone through district-wide, the public vetting and all that? Because I don't know, based on what I'm voting on these policies, I don't know which ones are being reviewed to be modified or amended, because that's the procedure and that doesn't go to the board.
That's correct. That's part of what our training program is all about. The procedures are out there, they're online. All of the policies and the procedures of the district are on the website, the college's website, as well as our training program and the employee handbook, those types of formal locations, as well as multiple locations for someone to access.
No, but how do I know which procedures are going to be modified or updated, like what Dr. Graham was talking about? I think there's something about in the employment grievance realm.
The procedures that are already in place are the ones that are out online. You wouldn't necessarily know which ones were being in the process of being reviewed and modified.
Until when?
Well, college employees know it because they receive all of the information about the proposed revisions to policies or procedures.
But don't you think that the board should get those also? And let me tell you why. For example, if you go to 301.09, the board directs the president to develop and implement blah, 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 and then it says complaints of sexual harassment in the work or academic environment. To me, it should have in a timely manner or give a time frame so that, people don't have to wait weeks and weeks and weeks to see if somebody's going to address the concern or the complaint.
Well, the procedures, as I say, are out on the website. Traditionally, procedures are not approved by the board. The policy statements are. It's an administrative responsibility to develop the procedures that implement those policies that the board approves.
And that's exactly right. So for me, I just want to know, hey, Ms. Elise, by email or by whatever, that the procedures for the sexual harassment have been updated, or they've been modified, because we're giving the president the authority to develop and implement those procedures to define and prevent sexual harassment. I mean, I think that Mr. Dunbar stated it well. The policy is broad. It gives the people in the know that deal with this every day the authority and discretion to provide the nuts and bolts and the details in the procedure. But I, just as a board of trustee, if someone comes to me, I want to be able to say, oh, that was modified 6 months ago, or, oh, it's under the process, it's undergoing modification. That's all I wanted. How will that information, how can I get that information?
Or that you can give them a reassurance, you know what, go ahead and take your complaint to so-and-so, and within 30 days, they're going to respond.
May I make a comment? Mr. Fernandez, is it possible for your department to maybe run a banner when we're addressing these policies? That this policy 301.02 is in its first reading. That way people can have the opportunity to come before the board and give their input.
Yeah, technically it can be done. It's just a matter of what cabinet and administration decides to do. But from the technical standpoint, it can be done.
So maybe we can direct Dr. Serrata to start putting a banner on. That way we can all have access to it. I mean, at a minimum, Ms. Solis is correct that it shouldn't be very difficult for Ms. Payne to just email the board on these changes or in these policy procedures.
So, no, absolutely, Chair and members of the board. So currently what we do when we're reviewing policy and procedure, it is sent through general email to the entire college community. And so the college community knows that these are the policies and procedures that are being revised. They go out to the full college community rather, for first reading, for comment. So they currently already are provided electronically. I certainly adhere and understand, again, Dr. Graham's sense of urgency on the timing of certain pieces. And so there's certain, as procedures and policies are being reviewed and updated, the college again adheres to, for instance, we're about to start summer session. A large majority of our faculty will be, of the full-time faculty, will be out one of the 2 sessions. Some will be out both sessions. And so part of what we try to do is to ensure that our constituency groups, in particular faculty during the summer, are available to review. And that does delay some of the reviews, in particular those that are specific to faculty. Some of the ones that you're referring to, sexual harassment, discrimination, those we obviously want to make sure that those are up to speed and always are up to date on laws that have been passed and what have you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, after all this discussion, I want to make sure that I understand what I'm voting on. I understood that we are voting on the policy, and as has been stated by our legal counsel, the policy on federal law is basically, that is the policy.
Yes, ma'am.
And then in effect, what we are authorizing is for an update of the procedures that have been developed to implement the policy.
That's essentially correct.
Okay. And I think it would be prudent for the board to understand the process of shared governance. And as long as we have a process for us to know when these are updated, and if the president can have either Pam notify us or he can notify us periodically, these procedures have been updated, so that I totally agree with Dr. Graham, because we do get these calls from our constituents. And we want to be able to be fully aware of what the procedures are. So would it be possible for us to get a periodic update from you, Mr. President?
Absolutely, Mr.
So
Robles.
that we can be kept abreast? Then I will feel comfortable with the voting on the policy. Thank you.
Understood. Yes,
And-
ma'am.
Dr. Zarratan, when can we expect another update on the grievance procedure that has been on the back burner for 20 years?
I would imagine that we are close to coming to a conclusion for a recommendation to the Board of Trustees. I would hope that in June, I'm looking to Mr. Dunbar as well. And then again, that it goes through the shared governance process. So once we come up with a recommendation, as working with you, Dr. Graham, with Mr. Dunbar and I, once we come to the full board with that recommendation, we will again follow the process of getting input from each of the respective constituency groups throughout the institution and let it run its course for approval, come back to the board for final approval.
But wasn't it 3 months ago that he was reviewing it?
Let me jump in here just for a moment. I'm not sure the entire board was aware of it, but I was very ill in April and was hospitalized for 4 days. And then it's been, I don't want to make it too dramatic, but I've slowly climbed back in. So while this doesn't speak to the full 20 years, Dr. Graham, it does speak for perhaps the last month. So that as I was on my hospital bed, I could not but think of grievances for the college. So
Sure.
that will be one of my primary concerns.
It should have been a priority before you got sick, sir, because we've been on it for a long time.
We've been on it for a long time, but the essence of the procedures for grievances, they need to be streamlined, I agree, but the essence of them, just like what we've just been talking about here, are in all likelihood not going to be a dramatic change. And you and I have discussed some of the changes, such as a hearing officer and other things. So I look forward to the future, Doctor.
Could you please bring us a note from your doctor, by the way?
I will, I'm not sure what jurisdictions he's in, but.
Any other questions? Pam?
Mrs. Robles,
Aye.
Dr. Uxer,
Aye.
Ms. Solis,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 2.1.5, the following policy is presented for second reading and/or final approval. 3.01.09, sexual harassment.
Motion to approve item 2.1.5, 2.1.6, 2.1.7.
A second.
Item 2.1.6, the following policy is presented for second reading and/or final approval. 3.01.10, deferral officer, proposed title, registered agent and deferral officer. 2.1.7, the following policy is presented for second reading and/or final approval. 4.06.01, investments policy. Questions?
I just have a question on page 73. Under the training for the board members, are we in compliance with that, or should we be receiving more trainings? Certainly after reading this, I think I need at least another 20 hours of training.
Well, Dr. Graham, upon your election on this board, you were actually given if I remember, a DVD from the state that helps you understand your responsibility with the investments policy and in terms of investing at the college. So if you'd like to have a refresher, we certainly can arrange that for you. And I believe Ms. Solis, all of your board members would like to have a refresher. We certainly can provide more information for you to kind of refresh on our investments policy and, of course, the responsibility of the board when it comes down to investing funds, public funds here at the college.
I think only because it references every 2 years,
Every 2 years is for the staff, is for the investment officers that we are required to have training every 2 years.
2 years.
Absolutely, to comply with the Public Funds Investment Act. Board members, new board members, if you have somebody new that comes on the board, they would have to have something at the very beginning of their term.
It would be good just to have a refresher course.
We will arrange that for
I
you.
agree.
Yes.
After reading this, I know we need I need the refresher.
Pam, question?
Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Dr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 3.1, full-time institutionally funded actions.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Dr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 3.2, full-time externally funded actions. There are no items. Item 3.3, information items. No action is required. Item 4.1, consideration and deliberation on the approval of a 3-year contract with Peña, Briones, McDaniel and Company, PC, for financial and compliance audit services for the fiscal years ended August 31, 2015, 2016, and 2017 in an amount not to exceed $207,000.
Motion to approve 4.1 and 4.2?
Second.
Item 4.2, consideration and deliberation on the approval of a contract with Time Warner Cable Business Class for network connectivity to EPCC educational centers located at the 2 Fort Bliss locations and the Career Training Center in an amount not to exceed $204,934.
Any questions? Okay, Pam?
Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Dr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 4.3, consideration and deliberation on the approval of a 2-year contract for bank depository services with Wells Fargo Bank, N.A.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions? Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Dr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 5.1, consideration and deliberation on the approval of the selection of engineering firms for engineering services on upcoming district-wide projects on an as-needed basis.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Questions?
I do have a question.
Ms. Solis?
So just want to make sure I understand, by approving this list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 engineering firms are the ones that will already be sort of pre-approved to work on any projects or services that we need, and it's without having to get the board approval, as the need arises. And then also, but it's, what's the order, or how does that work?
Well, unless the amount of the contract is
Right,
$50,000 or more, they would come
Still
back
comes
to
to
this
you.
board.
Okay, you're right. But if it's not, then you just do the first one, then go down the second one?
Well,
or
they
how does
all
that
have
work?
different specialties.
Okay,
So you have two engineering firms that actually specialize in mechanical and plumbing.
okay.
And the reason for two of those, we are looking at two, is because there is more need for this type of service. But the other firms basically represent a different specialty. So you have one firm for that type of specialty.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
On the part that's any engineering cost of over 100,000 or more will be competitively awarded through a separate RFQ. Does that also include, like, once we approve a contract and then there's other stuff that they find that they need to work on, or they never put it on the bid, so now we need to add?
Maybe I should ask Mr. Lobato to respond to your question, Ms. Dr. Graham?
Because that's happened quite often, that for some reason or other, we're having to approve additional money.
Change order or punch list.
But we'll go 100%?
I'm sorry, Dr. Graham, but I didn't quite understand your question. Could you repeat it one more time?
If we have a firm that's working on something and then they discover that they need more money approved because it's a larger project or they didn't include certain costs in the bid, does this also apply that it will come back to the board, or is this the 100,000?
If the amount is over what's been approved, yes, we will have to come back to the board.
Over by what amount?
Whatever has been pre-approved by the board.
So at any amount, it's gonna come back?
Yes.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
any change orders will be brought to the board?
Any change orders that exceed the amount that has been approved by the board, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lobato.
You're welcome.
Questions?
Mrs. Robles?
Aye.
Dr. Uxer?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla?
Aye.
Dr. Graham?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 6.1, consideration and deliberation on the approval of a contract award to Cox Subscriptions Incorporated for the periodical subscription services for the college libraries in an amount not to exceed $60,000 per year.
Move to approve 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3.
Second.
Item 6.2, consideration and deliberation on the acceptance of a grant award from the Texas Workforce Commission in the amount of $31,342. Item 6.3, consideration and deliberation on the acceptance of a grant award from State Farm Insurance Agency of Texas in the amount of $15,000.
Questions?
I just have a question on 6.2 on this apprenticeship program. What are the skills that are going to be targeted?
I would ask Ms. Kathy Lopez to talk specifically about the skills. This particular grant extension or increase is to allow us to serve additional students beyond what was approved the last time.
Good evening. The skills are, they're partnerships with different agencies and unions in town. So it will be electrical journeyman, plumbing, sheet metal workers, and welding.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Question?
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Uxer.
Aye.
Ms. Solis.
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye.
Item 7.1, consideration and deliberation on the approval of continuing education tuition rates for new courses.
Move to approve 7.1 and 7.2.
Second.
Item 7.2, consideration and deliberation on the approval of continuing education tuition rates for revised courses.
Any questions?
Mrs. Robles.
Aye.
Dr. Uxer.
Aye.
Ms. Solis.
Aye.
Mrs. Quintanilla.
Aye.
Dr. Graham.
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty.
Aye.
Mr. Fierro.
Aye. Okay, Pam, can we call us into executive, please?
The board will now go into closed for executive session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act to deliberate on the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property as authorized by Section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code, to consult with legal counsel regarding pending, contemplated, or threatened litigation or settlement offers as authorized by Section 551.0711, or on a matter in which the duty of legal counsel arises under Section 551.0712 of the Code, to deliberate on the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee as authorized by Section 551.074 of the Code, and to deliberate regarding college district security as authorized by Section 551.076 of the Code.